Public safety is always a priority. As an election approaches, we're talking with two of the law enforcement veterans who want to become sheriff in Jacksonville. Wayne Clark and TK Waters joining us today. Plus, civics education in the spotlight.
So I think there's got to be strict criteria of how we allow that to come into our classrooms, and because there seems to be agendas everywhere.
We're asking the Florida Senate president about his agenda for a program announced at FSCJ this week. We're ready to get started on This Week in Jacksonville. Thank you for joining us today. The issue of public safety always seems to land near the top of voter priorities in a local election. Public safety, the main concern for 5 candidates running to become Jacksonville's new sheriff in a special election. Joining us today, Wayne Clark. Mr. Clark, great to see you again. I know you've been in the race for almost exactly a year now this week. The easy, broad question to start, why are you running for sheriff?
That's a great question, Kent. When we look at this election and we look at the importance of choosing the right person for sheriff, you know, probably since consolidation, this is probably one of the most important elections. When we look at the issue of crime and murder and the fear of crime across the city the last 5 to 7 years, we need to take a different direction with a different leader to come in to solve some of the issues. You know, years ago, we looked at murder and violent crime as a north side problem or a west side problem. As we see from the recent events, this is a Jacksonville problem and it needs a Jacksonville solution. What I offer for the citizens is my 40 years of law enforcement experience, working at the sheriff's office, working as a chief of the airport, and working at the school police department, to be able to come back with out-of-the-box ideas, because what we've been doing has not been working. We've got to come with a new, bold idea to reduce these murders and violent crime and other issues that we see going on in our city.
So how does a sheriff address crime in an area as large as Duval County? What are the steps that you take?
The first biggest thing is about building relationships in communities, because we cannot do this job by ourselves. When we look back, you hear a lot of people talk about community policing. How do we go back to community policing? When we look at law enforcement, we need real-time street intelligence to tell us what's going on in their neighborhoods, and then we need to be proactive to put officers out to try to solve some of the issues that are in the neighborhoods. You know, we were the murder capital in 2007. There was a program we used back then. It's called Operation Safe Streets. I commended that program. We partnered with the Police Executive Research Forum to use data and real-time street intelligence to tell us where to deploy our officers and who were the targets we needed to remove from the streets. So how can we be proactive and working with our other surrounding county partners and the beaches to make sure that we collectively, as one law enforcement unit, work on solving crime and issues in our area? You
just mentioned, I've heard other candidates mention it as well, that building relationships in the community is key. If everybody knows that, why isn't that being done already? It's not easy. Is that
It's not easy.
The answer?
I have 5 pillars that I'm running on. I call it TACT, T-A-A-C-T. You know, the first thing, we've got to build trust, and trust comes from building a relationship. Once I won't trust you until I first get to know you, and over that time we begin to build accountability toward one another, then accessibility, and then compassion one toward the other. And the last thing, you hear a lot of people talking about transparency. Transparency is a process that we get to at the end. We can't get to transparency until we go through those other steps, and then it goes right back to trust again. So we've got to work hard in those communities that have had that lack of trust, and to build that relationship so that we can solve crime as a partnership in the community.
So you mentioned transparency. That's a key buzzword when it comes to what's happening in law enforcement and in this campaign. So how do you want to address the calls by the community for transparency, specifically and especially when an officer is involved either in a shooting or a death?
The citizens are demanding transparency, and we must give them a level of transparency. It has been talked about bringing in the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to come in to look at police-involved shootings and in-custody deaths. I am in favor of that. A lot of sheriff's offices and police departments around the state use FDLE. They're trained to the same level as our officers. I think that we need to establish a memorandum of agreement, which is a legal document that will outline the process. So at some point I can't change my mind, because we need a neutral source to come in to look at this, I believe, to give people a level of transparency and trust and let the chips fall where they may.
Citizens Review Board, that's something that's thrown around from time to time.
Yes, we hear that a lot. And when we consolidated in '68, the city of Jacksonville decided to in their charter, they wanted a sheriff that serves as both sheriff and chief of police. And because we're a sheriff's office, Chapter 112 of Florida statutes only allow a police officer to investigate another police officer. Chapter 30, which is the rules of a sheriff, only allow the sheriff to hire, fire, or discipline an officer. So unless we change the legislature or we change the charter and get a different model, we can't get the sheriffs, get a citizen review board in the context of what people are asking. What I'm proposing, because the National Sheriff's Association is encouraging every sheriff's office to find a way to have a citizen review process built into their agency. What I'm proposing is, I call it my Sheriff's Internal Oversight Committee, which will be a group of citizens that we choose, both professionally and lay people. We train them, we vet them, we give them all of our high liability training, so that as an after-the-fact committee who will look in, take a deep dive, look at policy, do a written report to the sheriff, which is made available to the public. And when those things make sense to change our policy, we will do that. Because a lot of times in law enforcement, we're vindicated on the other end. While it was legally lawful, it was still an awful situation. And every community has an expectation of their officers. And we need to make sure that we work within the expectation of what they expect us here.
Let's wrap it up kind of on that topic. What's the toughest part about being a police officer in Jacksonville? Is it harder today than it was years ago?
Yes, I think the biggest challenge is, how do we change the culture and climate to go back to being an agency that is about serving and protecting? When I was a patrol officer, I knew people on my beat. We've got to go back to change it, to move back toward community policing, to build that level of trust in the community so that we can get to that final leg of my 5 pillars, which is transparency and what we do in law enforcement.
Wayne Clark, I appreciate the time today. I'm going to tell people in a few moments how they can see more of you coming up in this campaign. Thank you.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you, Kent.
Another former Jacksonville police officer is with us in a moment. The most recent entrant to the race in this campaign for sheriff, it's TK Waters. He's joining us next on This Week in Jacksonville. Don't go anywhere.
America, home of the free. Free is our favorite word. Like free shipping.
I got a package?
Free shipping.
We get it.
You can leave it right there.
That's why at Morgan & Morgan, our fee is free. That means you don't pay anything unless we win your case. Injured? Call Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.
Kicks for the Kids gives new shoes to children of all ages, and we need your help. Please stop by Channel 4 or one of these businesses to donate a pair of new shoes by July 28th. You can find the addresses of our drop-off locations on the Positively Jax page of news4jax.com.
I believe in the love of country, the flag, honoring our military, and back in the blue. Whatever national news you watch, local news, it is not. Whatever you are, right-wing, liberal, it doesn't matter. Knowing what's happening in your neighborhoods, tracking bad storms right to my street, keeping you safe from the next thing, and getting answers to questions that I care about. That's local news. That's why I watch News 4 Jax. They are who they've always been.
A new Chevy is the smart way to hit the open road this summer. The smart way to road trip and seek new adventures. Go a little farther this summer in a new Chevy. Find new get up and go, find new roads. Enjoy the open road. Well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing or get a $1,250 cash allowance on all 2022 Equinox models. See your Southern Chevy dealers.
Listen here, Marco Rubio. Val Demings here. For 27 years, I showed up every day to put dangerous criminals away, never knowing if I'd come home to my family. And when I was chief, we reduced violent crime by 40%. But Marco, you've got one of the worst attendance records in the Senate. When Florida needs you, you just don't show up. I'm Val Demings, and I approve this message because it's simple. You don't show up for work, you lose your job.
At Farah & Farah, we specialize in accidents involving commercial trucks. Don't let the insurance company play around with your future. Call us.
He shot himself where? In the head? Helping people through the worst trauma of their lives day in and day out can take a toll. But there is help. And there's one thing that can relieve stress in seconds. Helping first responders get from this to this in only a matter of moments. The new recruits helping local first responders. Lifeline for lifesavers. Tuesday starting at 5 on News 4 Jax. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Thanks for being here today. Of the 5 candidates running for Jacksonville Sheriff, all are African American. The Republican among them is TK Waters, who's joining us right now. I appreciate the time here. I know that you just recently retired from JSO. You retired as Chief of Investigations and Homeland Security. The broad question, why are you running for sheriff?
Actually, Chief of Investigations, so Homeland Security is another division. Well, I love Jacksonville. I started here when I was 21 years old and have seen Jacksonville go through a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes, and I want to see it continue to move in the right direction. I bring some experience, a lot of experience from being able to move around the agency and do a lot of different things, and I want to put those things into practice as a leader.
So help viewers and voters understand, Chief of Investigations, you had other leadership roles. What's the kind of leadership that you would bring to the sheriff's seat if you were elected?
Well, it's the knowledge of the agency. Being able to move around and do a lot of different things in a lot of different places has helped me get a really overall rounded view of the agency, and then doing different things throughout the city, whether it be traffic enforcement, where I worked as a supervisor for several years, or homicide, where I worked as a homicide sergeant for 10 years and 4 months. From there to an assistant chief in our Zone 5, which is our northwest side, and a division chief as the division chief of investigations.
So how does a sheriff address violent crime in an area as large as Duval County? That seems to be one of the big challenges for anybody who's going to take this role.
So I created a program called our Violence Reduction Strategy, and what that was, it's a focus on individuals, not neighborhoods. You know, it's kind of, neighborhoods aren't bad. It's the element that moves into our neighborhoods that create issues. So we focus solely on those people that we know are creating problems in our community. And we've been very successful doing that, and we're going to continue to do that. And it takes us all over Jacksonville. It doesn't just land us in one place. Over the years, we've spent a significant amount of time going to neighborhoods, going to houses, speaking to people and young men that we know are involved to try to help them do something different.
It's interesting. I hear you a little bit of that. I'm hearing a paradigm shift because even on the news reporting, we hear, oh, okay, it's in that area. I've even heard officers talk about, well, this zone, whatever it is, a little rougher there or what have you. And you're saying a little different approach there. Let me ask you this. Each candidate I've heard during this campaign is talking about building or rebuilding relationships in the community is a key to addressing violent crime. If everybody knows that, then why isn't that already done?
I think the effort's there. I think we can change some things structurally to make sure that happens. Getting our officers closer back to our community, decreasing our patrol zones, making them smaller, or making our beats smaller, where officers are known. When I first started back in the 90s, officers were known in our communities because the areas of patrol were much smaller. It's something as simple as having a relationship with people, talking to people, being close to people, so you don't seem like a machine, but you're an individual that's here to work, do a job for a community that you care about, that you really love.
Is that difficult to do for a police officer?
No, it's not. I think what made it difficult probably over the years was a loss of manpower and having to spread out and do more with less. So we're in a position now where we can start doing that, shrinking those areas of patrol for our patrol officers and allowing them to get closer to our community like it should be.
TK Waters, I want to ask about this. As I understand it, one of the last positions at JSO for you included overseeing all the police-involved shooting investigations.
Yes.
So how do you want to address calls by the community for greater transparency, especially when it comes to officers involved in a shooting or death?
Well, so if you'll remember, I don't know if you remember, Kent, but early on when I would do stand-ups, we'd give those officers names because I think it's necessary. I thought it was good to be able to do that. Once a ruling came down from another jurisdiction that said we could no longer do that, we had to stop. I am not against that, but because we can't do that, I want to build a much larger public information and education office. I want to give every outlet, you guys, your own liaison, so that anything that you guys need that will help us continue to give that information out quicker and more efficiently so that we can, we can show that we really want people to know, we really want people to understand. I've been sitting in the rooms with Melissa Nelson and Sheriff Williams trying to figure out ways to make sure we can get that information out much quicker and much more efficiently without violating laws or messing up evidentiary processes. And we've been able to do that, but I think we can continue to improve, and we'll do that.
I mentioned at the top of our interview the only Republican in the race, the past couple of sheriffs, Republicans as well. Does that mean that voters would expect status quo if they vote for you?
I'm a different guy. I'm not Mike Williams, I'm not John Rutherford, I'm not Nat Glover for that matter. All great men, in my opinion. I started with Jim McMillan and finished with Mike Williams. And I'm a different guy. I like talking to people. I like meeting people. I'm very out front. I'm very forward. I haven't had a chance to do that until now, given the opportunity. And you'll see a different guy, a person that really loves this community. I started here because I lost a loved one in 1990, and the reason I'm here is for that reason. And I want to see people. I want to see young men. I want to see folks survive. People have a right in this community to survive and to live freely and peacefully and thrive in this community. I want to make sure we continue to do that.
Maybe the last question I get to ask, what's the toughest part of being a police officer in Jacksonville?
I think what we've always dealt with for a long time is operating shorthanded. Our patrol officers, they work really hard. They're the best of the best. And we want to continue to build our agency because our population of our city is growing. It's not getting any smaller. We're growing. People found out about us. I used to call us the best kept secret in America. We're not a secret anymore. So as the city grows, we need to grow our agency. We operate with 1.98 police officers per 1,000 in Jacksonville. We need two, at least two, to help our officers get closer, to help our officers have what they need to strive for success and just continue to improve and do better. We have work to do, but we're going to do it. We'll get it done.
Just 20 seconds or less. I asked this of the other candidate. Citizens Review Board, would you be in favor of that?
No, I'm not.
Not in favor of it?
Not in favor of it.
So I want to let everybody know where they can see more of you. We plan on speaking with each of the candidates for sheriff here on this show prior to the special election, which is coming up August 23rd. So you heard from Wayne Clark and TK Waters today. Tony Cummings joins us next Sunday on July 31st. We're going to speak with Lakeisha Burton and Ken Jefferson for our show in 2 weeks. That's Sunday, August 7th. And this is important. All 5 sheriff candidates are going to come together on one stage August 10th. News for Jacksonville University. We're bringing you a live primetime debate at 8 p.m. that day. You can watch that on Channel 4, online at news4jax.com, or streaming on News4Jax Plus. TK Waters, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, shifting to state politics in just a moment. I sat down with the president of the Florida Senate. That conversation next on This Week in Jacksonville.
AC is out.
Duty calls, kids.
If your AC is running but not cooling, making loud noises, or your home's too humid, now you can schedule an appointment online at SnyderAC.com.
You're my hero, Snyder Man.
Important health announcement regarding Camp Lejeune.
If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina prior to 1988 and developed any of these cancers or suffered any of these injuries, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now.
Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals, up to 280 times acceptable levels in some instances.
There have been numerous reported cases of exposed personnel developing cancer and other serious health conditions. It is critical to take action and call Camp Lejeune victims now.
If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune before 1988 and you developed any of these cancers or injuries, call to determine your eligibility for financial compensation now. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-820-8836. That's 800-820-8836.
You can get your smile back today. At Affordable Dentures and Implants, we make high-quality tooth replacement affordable for everyone. So whether it's a single tooth, full dentures, or life-changing dental implants, we have an experienced dentist who can help you go ahead and smile. Click or call to schedule your new smile consultation today.
Go ahead and smile.
You want it? Come get it and save big for one final week at Bears. Get up to 60% off store-wide with zero interest financing available. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for delivery at the guaranteed lowest prices. With more items arriving daily, what could be better? It's your last chance to get what you want right now. Wear Bears.
Preparing for the back-to-school grind. The moves to help adjust your kids' sleep, when to start, and is melatonin a safe choice? And a unique tool to help parents tackle the hard conversations Monday.
I'm Julie Harrell. For the last 20 years, I've personally handled many different kinds of nursing home abuse and neglect cases. I understand the emotional impact these situations can have on a family, and I can help. Harrell and Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Each week, Channel 4 recognizes the Snyder All-Star Athlete. If you'd like to nominate a student for recognition during the next school year, go to news4jax.com and look for All-Star Athlete under the Sports tab. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
In the months since 2022 began, Florida lawmakers tackled several controversial issues and had to complete 2 special legislative sessions. This week, Senate President Wilton Simpson met with me here at Channel 4, where our conversation started about education.
What we knew early on in Florida, and the governor was a good leader on this, a great leader on this, but what we knew is we could not let this pandemic shut down our small businesses, keep our children out of school. We had, you know, a child don't lose 1 year for 1 year. So if we had not went back to school in-person learning in August, some of those children would have lost, you know, their entire education in that system. And so we knew we had to reopen safely. We knew we could reopen safely, save these small businesses, save our school children's future, and ultimately what became the future of the state of Florida. So I think opening early with common sense protections saved our economy. And then I think you saw a lot of other states following Florida's lead as they saw the success here in Florida.
Politics seem to become more and more divisive over the last several years. So it doesn't matter what the other side says, the other party is going to say, that's terrible. Well, one of the things that's been pretty controversial is how Governor DeSantis, how the legislature has approached some education topics. How do you feel about that? The critics say they call it a free state of Florida, but you're impinging on people's rights of free speech and freedom of thought and these sorts of things.
You know, in our education system in Florida is pretty simple. First of all, 2 years ago, we passed the largest parental choice bill in the history of the country. We think that we should put parents in charge of education. And if you're going to put parents in charge of education, it means all of it, not just part of it. We do not believe that you should indoctrinate kindergartners, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds in sexuality. We don't believe that. We believe that's up to families and parents. We took more of a vocational bent the last few years. We really spent a lot of money on nursing schools and other vocational opportunities because we realized those have been left behind for many years. You know, the Parental Bill of Rights, all of the things that we did, masking of your children, that is a parent's decision whether their child would go to school with a mask on, not a bureaucrat, a local elected bureaucrat in any particular city. So it was very important that we stood up for parents, and that's exactly what we did. And we believe that parents in the state of Florida know how to educate their children better than school boards.
President Simpson, one of the things that came up even this week with the governor in town was about teaching about civics in education. And I think one of his points was, hey, there are a lot of naturally born citizens who don't know as much as naturalized citizens.
That's right.
How do you feel about the need to educate on civics?
We've continued to push civics into our school systems at younger and younger ages. I think it's very important. And I think it's very important to teach civics what really happened, not what we thought happened or what we imagined happened. So I think there's got to be strict criteria of how we allow that to come into our classrooms, and because there seems to be agendas everywhere. And you know, in the old days when I was there, how often do you get to say that nowadays? You know, it was about reading, writing, and arithmetic. And if we just got back to that, you know, like I think the governor uses this, 2 + 2 = 4. We don't care how 4 feels, it still equals 4, right? And I think that we've gotten so sensitive about many, many topics that we're trying to, in some cases, to indoctrinate our children with. And there's no room for that in the public education system. It should be about educating our children with core fundamental classes that it takes for them to be successful in their lifetime.
The legislature has enacted some law concerning abortion. And when the Supreme Court made a ruling here at the end of June to wipe out or wipe away Roe versus Wade, you spoke out on that. Tell people why that's a personal issue for you.
You know, when I was adopted at a very young age, age 6, I believe, and, you know, thinking about all of the options we had. I spent a disproportionate amount of time in my 2 years as Senate President and President-designate dealing with fostering kids, adopting kids, and making sure that we had all of the needs in place to be able to get these children adopted if there were less abortions happening. Florida went to a 15-week abortion deal, just like Mississippi, because we thought the Supreme Court was going to rule on that issue. And then, of course, they just ruled on Roe versus Wade in total. And so now we have one more hurdle to get beyond, which is our own state constitution. And our state Supreme Court, I believe in the next 12 months, will take up that issue on privacy and will determine whether this law is still constitutional or not in the state of Florida. But make no mistake about it, we need to make sure that these young women who would have abortions know that they have many options, and adoption is a great option. I'm sitting here today because I was adopted. Fostering is much easier today than it was a decade ago or 2 decades ago. We fully funded our CBCs this year. It was over $110 million we put in the budget, recurring revenue, to make sure that we were taking care of the children in these type of needs. And we did many things. We streamlined the adoption process, the fostering process, and we really spent a disproportionate amount of time making sure that young people would have those options that may be better for them than trying to raise a child.
President Simpson also discussed the economy during our visit. He said he was excited to point out that employees get at least $15 per hour, and that's 4 years sooner than planned to raise the minimum wage for the state of Florida workers, according to their plan. So glad you were here with us today. Author and insider Chris Hand joins me next week. It's for a long overdue edition of Hand on Government. We also have another candidate for Jacksonville Sheriff, Dr. Tony Cummings. He will be with us. This Week in Jacksonville airs each Sunday morning at this time. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air on Channel 4. You can also see us on the CW17, and you'll find us online at news4jax.com or streaming on News4Jax Plus.
See why every day more people are choosing News4Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.